Thank you, Marnie. Thank you for that kind introduction and for taking care of all the business and for being here and being our moderator. Thank you so much. Um, I see a couple of familiar faces myself. I'm really happy to see you all. And yes, today being Earth Day, it was really fun to see all the different places on the earth in the chat, all the different places that you're coming from. And, I'm of an age and stage of life where I remember the first Earth Day in 1970. I'm not very good at arithmetic. I mean, I think I was 25, but I remember it. And it was started to work for environmental change after 20 million people took to the streets in protest. It was like some huge percentage of the American population after this massive oil spill that happened in Southern California. And I like that in 2009, the United Nations dubbed it Mother Earth Day. So we're going to do some practice together. I want to encourage you to just put your body in a position that's really comfortable for you. You can be standing, you can be lying down, you can be sitting in whatever way allows you to be at ease. And everybody's body is different. Some of us were trained to sit in a particular posture in a particular way, and that can be very good, but especially, for me as I get older, I need to sit differently and be more comfortable. So I want to encourage you to do the same. I happen to be speaking to you from a very tiny village called Frigiliana in Spain, where Jack and I are visiting our family, my stepdaughter, his daughter, and our son-in-law and our 5-year-old grandson. So I don't have my bell because I'm in Spain with just the essentials here. So I will just say, let's sit, and then I will say, whatever. If you close your eyes, you can gently open them. And you will understand we're imagining the sound of a bell as you find your seat and the posture that you feel good in, and we begin to meditate. I know that some of you have been practicing for a very long time. Some of you may be newer to the practice. So I will do a guided meditation for the people who are newer. And this meditation is it's one that I love. And it's really about allowing ourselves to be supported, held, and even loved by the breath. So I begin by taking a deep breath in and releasing. And another deep, intentional in-breath. Breathing out and relaxing. And one more time, a deep breath in, breathing in the aliveness of this moment. And breathing out, releasing any tension and relaxing. And then allowing your breath to flow in its own natural rhythm. And sensing and feeling each breath in, sensing the movement of the breath through the sensations in the body. Gentle opening of the chest and the rise of the belly and the diaphragm as you breathe in. And the gentle contraction of the belly and the chest as you breathe out. Allowing the body to release, to relax as you breathe out. And to take its time to breathe in. As long as we're alive, it will breathe in. And the breath is a trustworthy companion this way. So trust. Take your time. Breathe in. Notice the little pause in between the breaths. And breathe out. And this is the rhythm of our aliveness. There's no need to hold on tight or to grip the breath with your attention. Simply relaxing into this ebb and flow. Of the aliveness of your own body, your own life, your own vitality. Just allowing your body to take its time, breathing in whatever rhythm is happening, and trusting this breath will always be here, always be present. It always has been. It always will be. For our whole life. And this trustworthiness of the breath makes it possible to relax into it, to enjoy this sensations of being caressed by the breath. It's not something to create or that we have to do. This is a gift. Staying steady and present with the movement of the breath. Relaxing and softening attention. Relaxing and softening attention after that sound of my beloved's unturned off iPad. We can return to the steadiness, the safety of being supported and held by the movement of the breath in the body. And what supports this is simply sensing and feeling your body. This is warmth. This is movement. This is shifting. This is firm. This is spacious. This is open. The lived experience of being this body. And just being present with the in-breath and the out-breath. There may be restlessness. There may be discomfort. And just noticing this is how to be with being restless or uncomfortable. And the part of you that notices is not restless. A deeper dimension of our being registers these movements of mind and heart, being interested, being bored, being restless, spacing out, losing the thread. This part of you that recognizes, that is aware. This is this ground of loving awareness, which is the background of ongoing presence of breathing in and breathing out. And also when you notice you've drifted into the past, something that came before this moment or the future, what may follow, you can gently move your body back just an inch or two. Instead of leaning forward, anticipating the next breath, just leaning back a little bit, shifting very gently back to receive this breath, this moment. Just shifting the body back very gently into presence. And you know when you touch even a moment of presence, there's a sense of relief, of coming home. by choosing to sit still, entering this practice of being present with all the stuff we habitually distract ourselves from. All the movements of liking and disliking and all the craziness of our minds. And with the steadiness of the breath, the steadiness of allowing ourselves to be breathed, what is being revealed? What is shifting? What dissolves? This great openness of mind and heart fills with an inhalation, like the tide, a wave of breath moving in, and then pulling back, emptying, releasing. Allowing yourself to be carried, held by the waves of breath, ebbing and flowing like the tide. Noticing how it is for you right now, and gently breathing through any physical or emotional discomfort, not with the intention not to try to get rid of it, but to feel it more fully. What's it like? that keeps kind company with the full range of experience of being alive. Just observing and acknowledging with tenderness and understanding. Oh, this is how it is right now. It's like this. This mindfulness of breathing, of sensing and feeling the kindness of the breath, the reliable, loving presence of the breath. It sustains the steadiness, the steady ease. That can hold and include that which may not be so easy. And this is presence that you can trust, being held in this aliveness, allowing the breath to walk you home, held in the arms of the cosmos. Ding. So when you're ready, gently opening your eyes, taking your time. And over time, this practice, it kind of cleans up our inner atmosphere. It's like it kind of cleans up the environment like an Earth Day cleanup. Um, some of the conflicts and craziness starts to fade out because it's not getting fed. What's getting fed when we're present like this are qualities of the heart, trust, loving awareness, presence itself, right? So I'm going to offer you some teachings and then I'll have some time to interact with you, which is, of course, my favorite part. Uh, some teachings about being present and what it means and how it really is at the heart of these teachings and what's important in our relationship with each other. And I really, our coming together like this to practice together is as much a reminder about presence, to remind and support each other. Because we know from what the Buddha said that the whole of the spiritual life, the holy life, is being good spiritual friends and community. And I'm overjoyed to be part today of this Sangha Live community. Over the years, this group has met at exactly the same time as my Inside LA Sunday group. So I've hardly ever been here. And I am taking a leave of absence from that group and from most teaching because I'm convalescing from being actually very ill. And I'm on the mend and I'm pretty good right now. Very happy to be visiting our family who live here. I'm about an hour south of Malaga. But I really learned just again in the experience of being a patient in the hospital, how important being present is, because I could feel who came into the room, whether it was a nurse or a phlebotomist, the people who take your blood and put IVs in your veins. And I had a massive infection, just so you, not to be mysterious about it, and was in septic shock. So I was very, very ill. I was in the hospital for 9 days. And I'm telling you this because it was such an affirmation of our practice. You have, whether you realize it or not, you have sonar for who is present or not. And, maybe one of my teachers said to me early on, my Zen teacher, Koben Chino Otogawa, he said, when you practice and you sit, he said, people will be drawn to you. They don't know why. They might just think they like you, but it's because you sit. In other words, don't think it's anything personal about your qualities. It's just the Dharma that they sense, right? And it's the same for you. Your meditation practice, it is palpable. I could feel when somebody walked in the room, whether they were distracted, giggling about, something they had said in the hall about their boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever, whatever it might be, or the person who, was toward the end of their shift and they were just thinking about getting home. I could feel it. Or the person who would come in and just be there. It's a kind of intangible, but very palpable thing. Um, and, and so I tell you this just to encourage all of us to trust that being present and open with some mindfulness, some, some perhaps sprinkling a little bit of love, of tenderness on it. This is enough. It's such a protection and such a support. I felt so safe with the people who were present, no matter what they were having to do to this body. I felt safe with them, and I didn't with the people who weren't. So coming to practice together like this, our presence with each other is a protection and a support. And it's a time when we can be more open and vulnerable, whether we're in the silence or sharing together. It's a gift. It's a gateway to freeing our hearts. And, it's like that sign in Las Vegas, you must be present to win. It's a doorway to trust, whether it's for each other or, just what's in front of you, what's unfolding in your life in this present location. But here we are. There's you, there's me, and then there's the alchemy of this energetic field of presence that we create together when we practice together. And the field that we create is one that is just freer from getting caught in judgments and the various entanglements of our hearts, right? And because we're just being together in simplicity, and we can assume some kindness in our willingness to open ourselves to this practice. It takes courage. It's not easy. I remember years ago at Inside LA, we had lots of basics, essentials of mindfulness, beginner classes. And lots of times teachers would say, well, they're not coming back after taking that class. And I was like, yeah, because they've heard that mindfulness is a great thing. But then when you start to practice it, you realize it's hard. It's not easy to do. It does take courage. But most of you know by now that you can trust what shifts in your life, in your being, as a result of your practice. And this field of presence, it's not exclusively inner or outer, and we can sense and feel that. So just pause for a moment. Let's just pause for a moment and feel what it's like to be with each other here. And then we can expand this field of presence to the household, wherever you happen to be in this moment. To the town or the countryside, to endless, infinite space and time. We can do this. In the Theravada monasteries, there is a chant for calling a meeting of all the devas and bodhisattvas to come and be with us in this timeless field of presence, of beings who are practicing together. And I was saying, from my experience of being ill, we all have sonar for this. We all have sonar for this. And what does it take to bring it alive, in our everyday lived experience? Well, the whole Eightfold Path is relational teachings. But just to be very concrete, it's that pause, the sacred pause, before you enter the hospital room, if you're a nurse, before you receive the client, if you're a therapist, before you clean up. Because really every place is the hospital room. You take a pause and you feel your body grounded on this earth. And then you check in, like, what is my highest intention? What's my best? How do I want to be? Maybe I'll tune into my vow to be present before I enter that room, or before I begin that conversation or that project or that piece of work. I want to read you a poem that I love. It's about this kindness of presence, and it's called Mimesis, and it's by a poet named Fadi Judah, Joudah. My daughter wouldn't hurt a spider that had nested between her bicycle handles for 2 weeks. She waited until it left of its own accord. If you tear down the web, I said, it will simply know that this isn't a place to call home, and you'd get to go biking. She said, that's how others become refugees, isn't it? You know, through this careful listening and mindful attunement, we instinctively learn a new relationship with pain, with being displaced, dislocated in an unfamiliar body, in the realm of the kingdom of the sick instead of the kingdom of the well, or the kingdom of the convalescing. And we can cultivate an accepting attitude and take it with us as we go. And we can notice too, you can notice the things that stop you from settling in to the present or fulfilling your noblest intention. Whether it's anxiety and worry about the future. And I am going to talk about Earth Day tomorrow and Passover too, because they unusually come on the same day. Tomorrow, well, as Earth Day ends, Passover begins that evening, tomorrow evening, Monday evening. But whatever it is that gets in the way of our ability to be present, whether it's with the little spider and or the scary spiders within us, whatever it is, we can just acknowledge it. We can acknowledge it and just say, okay, thank you, whoever and whatever is happening, whoever you are, you're trying through distracting me and keeping me from being present. You're actually probably trying to protect me from something that might be sad or painful to be with. But I'm okay. I'm here. I'm ready to meet whatever it is with the support of my Sangha and my friends and the teachings and my own loving awareness, my own Buddha mind. And this really helps us stay connected, not just to ourselves, but yes, primarily to ourselves. Of course, the more connected we are to ourselves, the more able we are to be connected with others. For years, I practiced as a psychotherapist, and I really learned that, that when I'm not intimidated by the pain that's occurring inside of me, I can be present with the pain that's occurring inside of somebody else. I can be that steady, reassuring presence. So when we do pause and tune in to our best intention and sense a larger, actually much more mysterious unfolding of life, then we can also enter the more challenging realms of family, of workplace, of politics. Well, maybe most difficult of all, our own minds, with a sense of presence that is actually liberating. It's freeing. It invites us to be free where we are. And I feel like this kind of presence is a bridge to compassion too, to valuing our being, valuing your being, valuing your life. Full presence brings it's some freedom from the activity of judgment and self-criticism. So it's like self-compassion, an act of compassion, the compassion of the spring breezes these days. I don't know what it's like where you are. It's cool here, but it's spring. The compassion of the pain that made me not just fall asleep and die when I had sepsis. I was in pain and it woke me up and it made me call for help. And that was a compassionate thing. The compassion of the birds returning to sing, the compassion of the coral bleaching to signal help. The ocean's getting too warm for us. So this quality that I'm talking about, this quality of sustained presence, yes, it brings compassion. And it's a consequence of the very first of the precepts and of the paramis about non-harming, learning to care for ourselves in healthy, non-harming ways, understanding presence with ourselves as an expression of relationship, of being with each other, and of our utter dependence on the world all the time. You know, and sometimes you might get the impression, and I've heard this sometimes from people that that self-compassion or insight meditation or mindfulness practice is all about the self and self-liberation and what about the world. But the Bodhisattva vows are actually there. They are expressed in Theravada, in early Buddhism, and they may not be as explicit as in the Mahayana traditions, but they are there. And we know in our moments, you felt it in meditation, you know, even a moment of genuine presence, you feel you're just not in the grip of your usual, my usual ego attachments and obsessions. We can feel deep and wide concern for others and like move over my self-interest agendas and make room for some altruism and some caring. And for seeing my life, your life, our lives are inextricably linked with all the others, right? We're all life forms. We're all connected life forms. And we can recognize and cherish this interconnectedness and contribute something of ourselves to each other. We can contribute presence to the relational matrix of life. That is a huge contribution. And what could be a better expression of our practice? And over time, I mean, maybe it happens suddenly at times, but to really integrate it and have it be a steady presence in our life, over time, you notice a figure ground shift. Like a shift from being mostly distracted with moments, you know, interspersed with moments of presence, to being mostly present with inevitable times of distraction or carelessness. Nobody is perfectly mindful 24/7. But that shift, when it happens, and you may not notice it, you may not notice it all at once, but incrementally you do notice it. And it is so heartening to notice that. It's also pleasurable. It's a pleasure to be present and to be able to notice distraction instead of to be mostly distracted and craving those moments of presence and calm. So again, I want to thank you all for surrendering this momentum of busyness and urgency to get stuff done in our lives, to be together in the stillness of our shared interest here, our shared interest in being present. And I love the meditation of, you know, just allowing ourselves to be supported and loved by the breath as a kind of antidote to, there's a specific kind of agitation or anxiety that can be focused around being present and being awakened and not missing our life. I remember years ago hearing my friend John Kabat-Zinn say, he was talking about a retreat and he said, I was present every moment of that retreat. And that instantly turned into a criticism of me. Oh, I'm not present every moment during retreats, or, that's why I love this meditation of just shifting back, receiving the moment, allowing the breath, the ebb and flow of expansion and contraction of the tides of aliveness in us, that we can relax. We can even relax about learning how to be more present and awakened in this life. So I'm going to say a few more things and then open up for you. So just again, if you understand and are present with your actual real location and right now, how it is for you, this ground of presence allows you also to see whatever keeps you from settling down. And it allows you to just be with all the movement and stirrings and changes of the body. I'm just grateful to be here. I was complaining in the hospital to one of my doctors who was taking care of something that I had to see her every day. And I was complaining. I said, I can't believe I'm not going to be able to swim for months. And she just looked at me and said, Trudy, only 30% of people survive what you had. And she didn't say it, but implicit was also, and you're not young. And that was what we call in Zen practice a turning word. I realized, oh my gosh, I'm complaining when I'm lucky to be alive. And so I've really been practicing gratitude and the celebration of just the authenticity, the grittiness, the reality of life as it is. And I do want to say a few words about Earth Day and the link to Passover, because my Passover is a celebration of my ancestors. It really marks the anniversary of the night when my ancestors were rescued from centuries of being enslaved in Egypt. And the Jews understand this Passover liberation and freedom, not just as the liberation of the Jewish people, but it's the promise of the end of enslavement for all people. And our Buddhist practice offers us a chance to participate in that practice because we get enslaved by our anthropocentrism, by the human greed that has caused the degradation of our planet, of our beautiful, beautiful planet. So I really think of the connection between Buddhist practice, my Jewish heritage of Passover, and Earth Day. And when I think of that connection, I'm also aware of the disproportionate suffering of that climate change visits upon economically disadvantaged communities. And Earth Day is a time that we can all learn sort of what has happened and how the overconsumption of some is contributing to the climate crisis and what we need to do to change. And there's another important lesson for us on Earth Day that happens on the eve and really dovetails with Passover, and that's the worldview of my Jewish tradition, and of other traditions as well, all the indigenous traditions for sure, is that we are not the owners of this earth, that we are tenants living on land, that it's sacred land, but we're just the tenants. And our job is to serve and protect the earth and all the many beings, species, humans, all the beings on the earth. I mean, we can say the same about this body, that, we're tenants in this body, right? So I'm hoping that there's a liberation for Mother Earth. And, His Holiness chimed in. The Dalai Lama said, as human beings, our marvelous brains provide us with remarkable opportunities to do good. But if we look at how the world is today, we can see that we should be able to do better. Nowadays, when we face serious problems as a result of the climate crisis, we have to help each other. As human beings living on this one planet, we must make an effort to live happily together. The threat of climate change affects us all. We must work to protect nature and the planet, which is our only home. So it'd be great if by Monday night we had all done something to clean up the earth. I feel like we've done something today. We've cleaned up our inner environment by practicing together and listening to teachings. And that is something important. I was going to go in and talk about the environmental threats and the 10 plagues of Passover, but it's too much. And I do want, since I've said I want to hear from you, I need to leave time to hear from you. But what I do hope is that tomorrow you'll all take advantage of whatever chance you have to be outside and enjoy our home planet. Even if it's cold out, take off your shoes just for a minute and feel your feet on the earth, your connection to this planet that is our home. And, just feel our connection through gravity, through the air that we breathe, through the food that we eat, the things that we see, the beauty. There's so much to appreciate and celebrate. And so I hope you'll all take time to do that sometime tomorrow. And now I would like to open up for some conversation with each other. As Marnie said, it's best if you could use the reaction button to raise your hand. Yes, picking up plastic, thank you. Plastic pollution, yeah, huge problem. It's best if you could, just use the raise hand function. And you can ask me anything that you're curious about having to do with your practice or anything that I've said. I will take responsibility for deciding what I want and how I want to answer. So you don't have to worry about that part, okay? Okay, so Victoria, you could unmute yourself. Thank you.
Hello, Trudy. Thank you. It's kind of funny because I'd signed up for Inside LA this morning because I forgot that when it says with Trudy Goodman, it's you're the
It's Trudy
founder.
Goodman and friends.
No, right. No, but I remembered I'd signed up to be with you, and then suddenly, so I came a little late to the meditation because I'd gone to find you in LA. But anyway, it's wonderful to be here, and thank you. And I'm so glad you're healing. Blessings on your progress.
Thank you.
I just was hit by a huge new onslaught of trauma, which is I've had ongoing trauma basically since childhood, related to my family, and family, doesn't go away unless it goes away, as you know. And so I feel like I'm always starting over again. And just as you were, I came in late, as I said, and I apologize for the meditation, but the breathing, and I thought, is it ever going to get easier? Is it ever And I thought, because professionally, I'm a concert violinist. So I know that since I was a child up to, when I was professional, there was improvement. I could see it. Everyone could see it. It was like it got better and better and better with practice. Whereas this practice, I feel like I'm constantly starting over. And then I try to make that itself into some kind of a practice of, it is how it is. And I'm beginning again, but there's something in me that chafes against it, especially when these traumas come and hit me and I still feel unprepared and I still feel vulnerable. And then I think to myself, well, is the practice ultimately just like making our beds and like you said, cleaning up? Is it like daily hygiene and washing the dishes? Is it just from now until our last breath, we're just still starting again and we have to do it every day and it just is what it is? Do
I'm
you know what
sorry, I'm laughing because what you're making it sound like such drudgery. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, we didn't have to just like wash the floor and clean the dishes till the day we die. Well, we will actually. And but here's the thing, that what you're also describing was the subject of the first Dharma book, excuse me, that I ever read was called Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. And you may know that book. It's a classic.
Yeah.
And you know, that beginner's mind, repetition, starting over and over and over is a huge part of spiritual practice. And Victoria, I used to feel every time, for so many years, every time I went on retreat, I would start to practice, in the way that we can on retreat, which is more protected. And so, and I would think, oh my gosh, this is how you meditate. Like I just am learning again how to meditate. Like I had forgotten somehow, even though I was practicing all along. No. This is because there was a different quality of presence. And being hit by trauma over and over, you feel knocked off your center because it's so painful. And one trauma reawakens the memories of all the past traumas. It's like when we have a loss and we're grieving. One loss, brings up all the other losses. And yes, that's the way it is. However, it's not like, oh, that's just the way it is. It's right. It's this is it. And you can bring, just like you do when you clean. I mean, I know sometimes when I've talked about this, like I've had the experience wiping down counters or wiping the table. Not so much drying the dishes. I usually let, God or whoever dry the dishes. But wiping the counter, I feel this is an ancient gesture. Women people have wiped counters forever, brushed the rocks in the cave or, whatever, forever. And so there's a way that these everyday activities, that the starting over, that the realization of repeated traumas of life can connect you to all humanity forever and ever. All that ever have had trauma and suffered from it, all who ever have practiced every day and not seen that glorious concerto pour out of their fingers, but practicing every day, every day. And honestly, one of the reasons we need each other is that we don't see our own progress very well. But I am sure that the way you are responding to the current traumatic whatever happened is different from the way you responded 10 or 20 years ago. I don't mean that it hurts any less, but your response to that pain is different. So, yeah, but it's a question that I think everybody has at certain times in their practice. Is this all there is? Could I please, I think we all want to be like the kid, you stand on the wall and each year there's a pencil mark for how tall you are and you watch yourself getting taller and taller. Now, of course, I'm getting smaller and smaller and shrinking. I remember saying to my mom once, I think you're shrinking. It's real. but you understand what I'm saying? We want that feedback. We want, and it really takes Sangha to be able to keep going. It really does. I think it's too grim and depressing to do it all by yourself, day after day after day. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for being here. Thank you. And that's so true. And thank you, Sangha. Thank you.
Yeah. Wow, my screen is weird. I can't see. Hold on, let me put full view. I can't see hands if they're up. Something has just sort of cut off. Hold on. Let me take a different view here. Okay, now I can see your hands. Jane, if you could unmute yourself, please.
I just want to thank you for today. It's really been joyful, and really resonated with me because I have chronic illness, and I had my treatment this past week. And next week I'm heading into 2 major procedures.
Wow.
And it's really kind of like when you spoke about us all being so connected, through this, or the energy out there. I felt very connected to you because of all you just went through. And I really want to wish you all the best and good healing and recovery. And what I've learned from all that I've been through in my life, which has been a lot with my health, is to cherish every moment. I just really feel grateful to be alive. And really, I got to say, I meditation, which I've been doing all my life, is really why I'm probably still here, because it really helped me I'm not thinking about Wednesday, which is the day I'm having these procedures.
Sure.
I'm here with you right now.
Beautiful.
And the hardest challenge of all this is what I think you're experiencing, which is realizing sometimes we have to slow down. Our bodies finally are screaming,
Yes.
slow down, you're doing too much, you got to balance your life. And I've had this reminder more than once, but I seem to enjoy life too much. I don't know. I seem to find myself once again, I'm a psychotherapist and I'm seeing more people than maybe would be the healthiest thing for me. So thank you for sharing that you're taking a break.
I am taking a break, Jane. And I want to obviously wish you, I think we could all just take a moment and send metta to Jane for her procedures upcoming on Wednesday. Yes, may you be well. Yeah, may it all go well. I have to say, you look absolutely radiant. So your practice is serving you well.
If only looks
feel well, but you look so beautiful.
No, at this very moment, I feel grateful and I feel very blessed. And so I'm not feeling sick today. I mean, I spent the weekend feeling not so good, and I know, and I'm prepared for knowing that I'm going to be under anesthesia and everything. So I'm not going to be feeling great for a few days, which, hey, that's life. And I can get through that if whatever they find is not too serious.
Yeah, well, I think people can see the luminosity of your gratitude. That's what makes you look beautiful. And, I would encourage you to, as much as you can afford to do, to give yourself time, because I didn't at first. I didn't understand that almost dying and being so ill, that it really takes time. And even now, I mean, my hair fell out, and I want to show you all, this is my wig that I'm wearing, my new wig. Um, my stepdaughter, Caroline, took me to Malaga and kept me company, and we had fun choosing it. And I think I want to get different ones so that it's really obvious that I'm wearing a wig. We need to, I feel, be open and transparent about these things because they're real. And there's a big community of women who've had chemo, or, for me, it was a combination of the treatments, but also the trauma. And my doctor said, "Oh, I could have told you you'd lose your hair." And I'm like, "I'm really glad you didn't tell me." But my point is, we're all in this together. And so I see your beautiful long hair, and I think
I'll just let you know, I lost mine when I was 24. This is all real. It all came back.
wow,
Years and
maybe mine will grow back too. Thank you. Thank you
it
for that.
will, and it'll be kind of funky for a bit. It takes a long time to become like hair again. It's kind of curly and kind of like little children's hair. It's,
Well, that's why they
but
have wigs, right?
it'll come back. I believe it'll come back. But I'm taking too much of your time, and I'm just grateful.
I'm enjoying it. Thank you, Jane, and good luck on Wednesday. And really good luck. May they find whatever they find be harmless, and you be fine.
Thank you.
And there's Liz. Hi. You want to unmute yourself, Liz? Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Hi, Trudy. It's so
Hi.
good to see you. So
Nice
good to see you
you
on
too.
Amend. Yeah. While Sangha is important, I feel the most important is our cohort of teachers who have devoted themselves for their lives to this practice, and that we have the ability now, because of the internet. I listen to teachers. I have a lot of trauma that I'm still working with. I've just turned 85 last Sunday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I keep getting mixed up. I say 58, not possible 85. Anyway, how did that happen? But I just want to thank you and the cohort of teachers for your devotion and your consistency. And I listen to teachers. I can tune in to different sanghas and teachers like 3 times a week, and it's extraordinarily helpful. So I want to thank you for your, I know your life, and I know what you've given and your dedication. And I want to thank you so much for your devotion and consistency. And thank you for being here.
Wow. Thank you, Liz. Thank you so much.
Be well.
Thank you. You too. You too. 85. I hope I get to
Whoa.
85. That's great.
It's tough, let me tell you, it's hard, but I'm still here. Thank
Good.
you. Bye. Bye bye.
Bye. And I do want to acknowledge, I saw the chat about the sadness of Passover this year for Jews and for Israel, and the unbearable pain of bearing witness to what's happening in Gaza. And I have been posting on Instagram asking, why isn't the world paying any attention to Sudan, where literally 200,000 children are at risk of starvation, like now. And we don't even hear about it in the news. And or what's going on in Myanmar or the Democratic Republic of Congo. And I mean, Sudan is the worst humanitarian crisis in the world right now. And I just happen to be connected to this organization called IACT that works with refugees. And I went with them to Eastern Chad, to Darfuri refugee camps, to teach mindfulness. And I want to say this, some of you have heard me say this, that I thought, these people don't have enough to eat. And now there were 300,000 of them spread across 12 camps when I was there years ago, but now 700,000 more have arrived fleeing the war in Sudan. And I thought, what place does mindfulness have when people are hungry and unwell and completely traumatized? Well, it turned out that of all the things we were there to teach the refugees, they wanted, and why I love IACT is they listen to what the refugees want and they provide what the refugees want. The refugees wanted preschool for their kids and soccer so they could feel like they actually belong to the world in some way. And so, yes, brought coaches and soccer balls and, besides the soccer trainings, and I was the early childhood person, not a soccer, no, not very good at sports. I was not the soccer coach. But what the refugees said at the end of the training that we did was mindfulness was their favorite thing. And I realized that if you've been living essentially in an open prison for your whole life or with no exit in sight, the ability to just tune into right now, not the trauma of the past, not the hopelessness and despair about the future, but the ability to tune into right now is a gift. And most of us are not in dire circumstances like that. But it's really a gift. So we still have a couple little minutes if anybody wants to say anything before we come to a close here. Cheryl. Can you unmute yourself, Cheryl?
Yes. Hi, Trudy. I just wanted to thank you today. I feel that your teaching today really helped bridge the delight of life that we can experience and the suffering, and I feel that very deeply today. So
In
thank you
your own life, you're feeling it in your own life, you mean?
in my own life, but also in the world.
Yes.
How that there is delight here, and there's also immense suffering, and how we bridge that with your teachings around presence and staying with the breath. I'm actually teaching mindfulness to pregnant women
Oh, good.
at the moment, so
Lovely.
I will be bringing some of what I learned today to that this
Oh,
afternoon.
beautiful, beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So let's just take a moment of silence, of sitting together just for a minute. Oh, Jorge. Okay, really quick. You can unmute yourself. Maybe people can stay 2 minutes fast.
No, it really no problem. No problem if we just pass it. I just wanted to acknowledge what you did today, because now you spoke about Congo. I was born in Congo, and it took me a long time to acknowledge and to realize the spectrum of human violence that Congo represents in its whole history. And today, for example, I was out. It was a beautiful day here, and I'm going through a lot of stuff in my life. But when I come into despair about what are we really doing, and what am I really doing, and why am I doing this practice, because you look around, and if you have a bit of attention to whatever's going on and whatever's going on now, we don't seem to have evolved anything. On the contrary. So what really highlights is whenever I start, complaining or mourning about this or that, or as you said, just I'm still here, and I have a roof, and I can breathe, and I can watch the sun, and I can be aware that there are thousands and millions of people, and some of them are not that far away from us. We don't have any of this.
That's
So
right.
if nothing else, because I've already dropped the idea that I'm going to make a big difference in the world. I've already just let that go. If nothing else, at least the fact that I can realize that without despairing too much and just being, as you said, present to it. But I have to admit that it's not an easy exercise.
Well, it's not, but it's also, I think it's part of how we're conditioned that we have to do something really great in the world, that it's not enough to just do small things that are helpful. And I think the deeper you go in your meditation practice, the more you see that I was so conditioned to achieve, you know, and actually one of the things I saw in the hospital, I know we have to stop, this will be brief, but one of the things I really saw in the hospital when I was so sick was all these things I was so attached to in my life. I was too sick to care about any of them. And what occurred to me, I had this insight, which was just being conscious is enough. That what I was doing, whether I was in the hardware store or the bath or just being conscious was the thread, and it was enough. So chew on that one, Jorge.
Yeah.
For a while.
Not taking anything for granted and just be grateful for the things you have every day. So
Yeah, because out of that, something good will come for sure. So let's just sit for a split second together. This is
thank you.
yeah. So at the end of a period of study and practice together, we offer the goodness of our practice to all beings everywhere without exception. Whatever has been beneficial, useful, we just offer it. You know, the blessings that we received, we offer to the world. So may we and all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May we be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. Thank you so much, everybody. And thank you, Sangha Live, for being here. And thank you, everybody, for coming to Sangha, because each one of your presence is a gift and is what creates Sangha. So yeah, thank you, everybody.